All right, folks, welcome back to our special coverage here on Newsmax Television, the post-debate show. And I'm Steve Malzberg, joined by the co-host of the Daily Wrap, Rick Unger, and also Newsmax political analyst Dick Morris is with us. And we welcome in Noma Key-Kantz, Democratic political analyst, founder and executive director of the Accountability Project. But I want to start with you, Dick. And you know, we talked earlier in the show about Donald Trump. He made a big deal today. He was going to tweet out, you know, throughout the debate, he was going to run. And from what I saw, there was nothing too shocking, nothing too earth-shattering from Donald. And he tweeted out at the end, sorry, there is no star on the stage tonight. Pretty quiet from Donald, but also pretty quiet when it came to the candidates, except for one who called, I think it was one of the also-rans, I can't remember, it was Chafee, who said that he was a carnival circus. But otherwise, there was really no reference to Donald Trump. Why?
Well, you know, there's no point in beating him up. It didn't serve the strategic needs of anybody. Hillary might have used it to frame her feminist issues a little bit, but she had done that in a press hit before. I think you have to look at the mindset of the candidates going into this debate. Hillary's mindset was not to appear nasty, not to appear angry, not to appear unlikable, in Ed Klein's phrase, and to be okay on the issues. Bernie's mindset, which I think triumphed, was to set up income inequality, bank regulation, and no-fly zones and war as the seminal issues of the election. And by setting those up as the issues, and getting Hillary on record against repealing Glass-Steagall, in favor of the no-fly zone, against breaking up the big banks, he was able, I think, to set up the basis for the rest of his campaign. And for those who just tuned in, I've been saying that I believe Bernie won, and I think he's going to move up smartly in the polling over the remainder. You said
it was of epic proportions, comparing it to the Nixon-Kennedy debates, where Kennedy beat Nixon and that kind of turning point.
For much the same reason,
yeah,
Steve.
Yeah.
Not only because Kennedy was good in the debate, but because nobody knew him before the debate.
Right, absolutely.
And what is a one-horse referendum becomes a two-horse election, and Bernie's going to pick up votes just simply because he was there.
Let's get Noma Key involved here. Noma Key, I know you watched it at a Hillary PAC party.
Accidentally.
Without knowing it.
So what was your reaction to all this? I know you're a Biden person, so tell me what you thought of the debate.
Yeah, you listen, all Hillary needed to do was show up, seem likable, hit her marks, do what she needed to do, and look polished, and she won the debate for her campaign. Now, who won the entire debate? I absolutely agree with Mr. Morris. It was Bernie Sanders by far. Bernie Sanders reached an audience. You know, in the past week alone, he only had 8 minutes of coverage on TV. This is a man who's basically neck and neck with Hillary in primary states and leading Hillary in primary states.
What does that mean, Naomi? Hillary won the debate for her campaign,
fact that he could reach,
but Bernie won the debate. I don't follow that.
So, you know, Hillary really only needs to meet a few marks. You know, she didn't want to get into a full-on policy debate because if she is the general election, in the general election, if she is the Democratic nominee, she would have to pivot back towards the center. And I think she had to be very careful skirting around issues. She didn't want to go too populist. She didn't want to go too progressive because that could set her up for, you know, a disastrous situation come the general election. And she didn't want to get into these back and forths with the other candidates over her record. And, you know, if you noticed at certain moments, for instance, I'll use the Benghazi situation. Anderson Cooper asked about Benghazi. He asked about emails. And what did Hillary do? She pivoted straight to Benghazi. Now, those are two very separate issues. But she immediately conflated them because she knew that Democrats are skeptical of the Benghazi hearings. There was the news out this week saying that it was politicized. And instead of talking about the emails directly, which there is an FBI investigation over, which is a very questionable issue right now, she pivoted to Benghazi. On other issues, she would find a way to deflect it to Republicans. She'd say things like, well, you know, look at our debate right now. Look at how we are talking about all these issues that Republicans aren't talking about. Instead of saying, listen, I negotiated TPP. You know, she had some reasoning for why she changed her position on TPP, or she was waiting for the negotiations.
No, McKee, let me ask you a question. So Joe Biden's sitting at home watching this, and Dick and I, and I think Rick agree that he's probably made his mind up by now. But what's he sitting there, and is he smiling, or is he saying, "Oh no"? What's he saying?
I think that he's probably sitting there and saying, is there room for him to enter and not cause complete disruption of the Democratic
And
Party?
what's the answer?
That's what it comes
And what's
down
the
to.
answer?
I mean, we're going to have to see the polling. I mean, if Bernie Sanders, by conventional wisdom, Hillary did a great job. By conventional wisdom. But this is not a conventional campaign. This is a time when Americans want change, and just by virtue of being on stage, Hillary does not represent
All right,
change.
well, that's a good point. And let me take this, Dick.
I think that we need to understand that the metaphor of 2004 is the metaphor we need to watch. In 2004, Howard Dean came on very strongly in December and January of 2003 and 4, because as governor of Vermont, Bernie's state, he signed a gay marriage bill or a gay civil union. And that was excoriated nationally, but lionized within the Democratic primary. And Clinton and Kennedy began to become scared to death that he would win the Democratic Party nomination. So they began to dump on him, and then they dug up John Kerry, whose candidacy had largely been sidelined and marginalized, and propelled him to the forefront, told Edwards to shut up and tone it down so that Kerry could win the nomination because they were scared to death of what would happen if Dean were the candidate. That's what's happening now. Everybody was saying, okay, I can live with Hillary, Democratic pros were saying. Right. She'd be a good president, good candidate. But now that I'm faced with the threat of Bernie Sanders winning the nomination and us losing every Senate seat we have, we got to get Joe into this race.
All right, well, let me ask you, Dick. I want to ask you this question. Ben Carson and Bernie Sanders in many ways are very similar. They're both idealists. They're both populists and outliers, certainly. What if the two of them won their respective nominations? Let's use that and work on that premise. What would it be like?
Bernie Sanders is an alarm clock and Ben Carson is a lullaby.
Dick, wait, which means what exactly? I mean, do you think so? Who would win that election? Because you said that Sanders is unelectable if it's
back to be a candidate in a political debate or in a political contest. I think that Sanders is sort of the un-Trump in this sense, and in that contest he looks pretty good.
Dick,
but I think that Sanders is a lullaby. Also, when I hear him come out in favor of not using force in Afghanistan after 9/11 and instead trying to decrease our dependence on foreign oil, I want to puke.
The problem I have with your hypothesis, which you've stated a number of times, is that you believe that the Democratic power brokers, leadership, whatever you want to call them, are actually concerned that Bernie is going to somehow win the nomination. I talk to these people all the time. I have yet to come across one that has this fear. So in order for your theory to work and Joe Biden comes in, which again, I wouldn't mind if that happened, but we have to buy the fact that they have this fear of Bernie Sanders that I don't think exists.
Rick, talk to them in a week.
Okay.
All right, Dick, I want to ask you one more time before we start to wrap it up. So if it were, just my own obsession here, if it were Carson and Sanders, are you saying that Sanders would win or not?
No, I think Carson would probably win that fight.
Okay. I just want to make that clear. Yes,
I think so too.
I think so too. Absolutely.
I think so too.
All right. Hey, no, Mickey. So if Biden gets,
I don't think Sanders can beat anybody except in a Democratic primary, where I think he can beat everybody.
Right. I want to thank all of you. It's been a great hour and a half. And no, McKee, thank you for weighing in here at the end. Appreciate it. And Dick, thanks for sticking with us throughout. And we really appreciate your input, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. And Rick, what could I say?
Fun.
Yes,
Let's
a lot
do
of
it
fun,
again soon.
and I'm sure tomorrow on Newsmax Television, I know all day long, and on my show, which follows your show at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, The Daily Wrap, and my show following at 7, we're going to talk about this, and so is Ed, and so is JD, and so it's going to be a full day of it's going to be a full day of I guess post debate talk tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it, and stay tuned for more of Newsmax Television. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.